Hi, friend. Welcome back. I just got back from vacation, so I'm feeling great. And today, this episode is about answering a question that I get super often, which is how do I determine how much to ask a donor for? And I am going to walk you through my thought process, my framework, and I have something really special for you that I've been working on, writing down my framework. And I have created an Ask Amount ebook, and it is free. And if you want it, if you're listening to this and you're like, give me that ebook, I'm going to walk you through some of the things inside this ebook, but it also includes case studies. So you have examples of my thought process. If you want the ebook, here's what you got to do. You can review this podcast if you have not yet, even if you have in the past. Okay, totally fine. Take a screenshot after you leave a 5-star review. If you don't want to leave a 5-star review, then don't leave a review. Okay, just don't do it. Leave a review and take a screenshot of it and then send me the photo of that screenshot through DMs on LinkedIn. Message me on LinkedIn, show me that you left a review, and I will send you the ebook. That's just that simple. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts and send me the photo of it over LinkedIn, and I'll send you the ebook. Great. So let's jump into, here are the 3 buckets that I think about when I'm thinking about here's a donor and how much do I ask them for. The first is the organization. I'm looking at the organization's size, their annual budget, number of people that they're impacting, number of employees, the organization. I'm looking at how effective they are. Do they do what they claim to do, and to what extent? I'm looking at their vision. What does the future look like? What's their strategic plan? What is their vision for impact? And then I'm also looking at fundraising goals. What do you actually need to raise? What are your goals? The next bucket is your donor. Who are they? So I'm thinking about how much do I ask for? Think about who is this donor? What makes them tick? Are they mission aligned? To what extent are they mission aligned? Then I look at the relationship. To what extent do they trust us? Then I look at their financial capacity. How wealthy are they? And what is their inclination to give? So, of course, we know there are really wealthy people. Doesn't matter. They might as well be poor because they ain't going to give nothing. And then there are some people who are maybe not as wealthy who are going to outgive the wealthy person because they care so much. They're so passionate. They're deeply mission aligned. And there are things they have said and things they have done to indicate this. It is not a feeling I get when I'm with them, although there's nothing wrong with that. That can certainly factor in. It has more to do with observable behavior. It's called data. So what can I see? Meaning, is there a long history of giving? Have they been giving for years and years? That indicates high trust. Have they been communicative? Do they show up to events? Do they say kind comments? Have they told you things in donor meetings like, I love what you guys do. I love supporting you. Keep up the great work. You're doing a great job. If they say these types of things, I love to find out through asking donors, where do we stand in your philanthropic priorities? If I find out that I am their favorite, I mean, not me personally, of course, I am. Where did the organization stand in their philanthropic priorities? Is our organization their favorite nonprofit to support? Why or why not? Are we number 2? Are we number 3? Another great question could be, what would it take to become number 1? I've definitely asked that. You got to have guts. Which brings me to my third bucket. You, the fundraiser, the executive, the CEO, the development director, major gifts officer, whatever your title is, you, the fundraiser listening to this, you are the last factor. And this is where my work with my clients is so important, because you can have the wealthiest person, you can have really ambitious goals, clear vision for impact, you're super effective, trustworthy organization, and a donor who's ultra high net worth, mission aligned. But if you don't have the guts to ask for a large gift, then you won't raise it, because you got to ask. No one's a mind reader. So you are a factor. Here are some great questions to ask yourself. Okay, I think I could ask this donor for $500,000. If I'm taking me out of it, if I'm just thinking about our organization and I'm thinking about who the donor is, our goals, our strategic plan for impact, and the donor and their capacity and their willingness and their mission alignment, then a great ask amount could be 500,000 over the next 2 years based on all of those factors. I'm just, this is made up. This is an example. Can you say $500,000 out loud? Can you say that 500,000 over the course of 2 years? Would you be willing to give $500,000 starting this year over the course of 2 years? Can you say that sentence out loud? Can you say that number? I was just reading a book by Wayne Baker, All You Have to Do Is Ask. Fantastic book, by the way, recommend it. And they did a study and found that they did a study. I don't know who did the study. Okay, I know that's like such a generic thing to say. They did a study, whoever they was in this book. You can look it up. And found that asks that are made face-to-face in person have a 34% greater chance of getting an affirmation, of affirmative response, getting a yes. So if you can, you're going to need to meet with this person face-to-face, whether that's Zoom or in person, whatever it is. Can you ask someone for 500K? It's totally okay if you fumble your words, if you stutter, if you're sweaty, if you have to change your shirt after the meeting, if you feel like you're going to throw up, I mean, what's the worst case scenario here? I've definitely been there myself. Whatever it is that you could feel, I have felt. So it's okay. It's okay to experience all those things. It's all right. It doesn't last. It's momentary. You don't have to pretend like this isn't a big deal to you. And you can, be less than perfect in front of a donor. It's all good. The only way to get stronger is to lift heavier weight. And sometimes when you're lifting heavier weight, your muscles shake. You struggle. And that's actually you getting stronger. There is no other way to get stronger but to lift weight that's hard to lift. I go to the gym. I love lifting weights, so I use that as an example. So it's very similar with asking for more and asking for larger amounts. And the only way to turn your current ceiling into your future floor is to continue to challenge yourself and press even when it's uncomfortable. There is no other way. And you'd be surprised at how many of us are fearful, and yet we take action anyway. So it's totally okay to be afraid. It's totally okay to be nervous. It's totally okay to want to throw up. But you've got to find the number that you can say aloud. Another thing to think about is, where are you with this specific donor and this specific ask? Can you ask this specific person for 500,000 over 2 years? If the answer is no, You may need to leave money on the table because you don't yet have the courage level needed. You can have more courage than you do skill. It's okay. And I've been there. And luckily, I think those have evened out a bit. I would say maybe I have more skill than courage at this point. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But think about it in terms of a specific donor. Don't think theoretically about someone out there. Could you ask for $500,000? You might think that you're really not that scared. I could ask strangers for money. No. We're not talking about strangers. We're talking about this specific donor. Pick a donor who is a top donor, who you plan to ask for more. You know that there is more there. They're mission aligned, they're passionate, you know them, you have a relationship they've been giving for some amount of years, there's trust there. Then can you ask that person, what is your ceiling in terms of what you're willing to ask them for? Now, that amount may not be what they'd actually be willing to give. They might be willing to give more than what you have the courage to ask for. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's okay. That's the only way you're going to grow, is if you continue to challenge yourself and push that ceiling. So don't think about it in theory. Think about it with specific donors. People ask me this all the time. What should our giving levels be? We want to do some kind of sponsor level, or maybe you're going to take on a capital campaign and you want to have giving levels. I just don't think about it like that. I think about who my donors are. I pull up my CRM, I pull up my spreadsheet with my donor list, and I look at specific people. And I was talking with a client today who's raising millions of dollars for a building. And she was asking this question about giving levels. And I was like, well, if you want to do naming rights for your building, I don't think you should just arbitrarily pick a giving level as, you have to give this certain amount in order to name the building after yourself. Don't sell something that people don't want. I mean, this is business 101. I'm answering this question on my podcast because this is one of the top questions that I get. It's not necessarily my most favorite question to answer. That's almost irrelevant. Like, I'm giving people what they want. So, in other words, don't create a giving level or a product because you think you should and it makes your life easier. It actually doesn't. Think about your specific donors. Who do you think is actually going to be interested in a naming opportunity that's a 7-figure plus opportunity? If you don't have anyone like that, then guess what? It's an unnecessary exercise. Now, if you're telling me that you have 2 or 3 donors who could all kind of give around the same level, and they're all interested in naming opportunities, then that's different, right? We want to create something that people want, not necessarily something that's, oh, this is best practice and it's an arbitrary giving level. So it makes it easier to just, here's this PDF and here are all the giving levels, and people just pick what they can give. And that is a super lazy way to raise money. And if we're talking about 6- and 7-figure gifts, which is what my focus is and my purpose is to help you raise more 6- and 7-figure gifts, then it's a negotiation. It's a dialogue. It's not really actually a pitch. I use the word pitch because you use that word. But when I'm asking for money, it's always a conversation. It's a back and forth dialogue. It isn't a pitch and then I'm done and you start talking. It's a conversation. So what number can you say out loud? And what is your courage level? How uncomfortable are you willing to get? These are the three buckets that I take into consideration: the organization, primarily its size, and your strategic impact goals. And then I'm looking at the donor. You know, who are they? What do they have in their heart, and what do they have in their hands? Hands and heart. Why do they give? And what can they give? And then what are they willing to give? Essentially, right? That's the breakdown there. And then what can you say out loud? What's your courage level? What's your technical skill level? What can you communicate? Can you articulate the impact of giving $1 million gift? If you can't do that, you're not going to raise $1 million gifts. Even if you're a really effective organization, and even if you have a mission aligned donor who is willing to part with $1 million and who's good for it. If you cannot communicate, if you do not have the technical skill of understanding major gifts, then you won't be able to ask for $1 million gift. So that's something you've got to work on, is your technical skill and your courage level. Those are things you have control over, and it will limit you if you allow it. And if you want the ebook, there are 3 case studies in there. I may add some more. I may add some more juicy stuff. Uh, but I dive deeper into each of these buckets, and it is more of an ebook. So it's a PDF where you will read and really understand my thinking. I explain why. I explain why I picked a certain amount. Why does this matter? And it's really thorough. So you're going to love it. All you need to do in order to get my free Ask Amount ebook is you need to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, a 5-star review, and then send me a photo of your review. Thank you so much for doing this, by the way. But you're going to love the ebook. And then send me your review on LinkedIn. Just DM me, and I will send you the link to the Ask Amount free ebook. I am doing this specifically for podcast listeners because I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I hear from so many of you how helpful and impactful this is. I've had people tell me that they listen to these episodes in their development department meetings, which blows my mind. That they re-listen to episodes multiple times and they're taking copious notes and they're rewinding and going back. And I'm just really so grateful for you listening and leaving a review and sharing with your colleagues. This podcast is really important to me, and I want to encourage you. I want to give you practical, actionable advice every single time that I show up here, in hopes that you will continue to raise millions and impact so many lives. You're doing really important work. And so that's why I do this. I want to see the world change. I want to see positive transformation in our communities. And I'm really grateful. So thanks so much. Leave a review and send me the photo on LinkedIn DMs so that you can access the free Ask Amount ebook. And until next time, thanks so much.